Young mother sold at auction bleeding after birth, incredible life-changing rescue revealed. The sun hung low in the sky over the skinned knees of Oak Hollow, a small rural town rustling with whispers and tension. Clara, just 23, stood trembling at the heart of the dusty square, her body still weak from childbirth, wrapped around a fragile hope named Lily. Seconds felt like hours as she pictured her innocent baby, held tightly against her chest. Clara had already fought a war against an abusive husband. Now, she was about to face the unimaginable. The auctioneer's voice cut through the air, a dagger of greed and desperation. Who'll bid for the labor of this young mother? Onlookers shifted uncomfortably, eyes averted as if they could ignore the truth of what was happening. Heartache echoed through the crowd. Clara was a girl from their own, her family farm lost to a backdrop of debts and promises broken. And yet, the townsfolk stood silently, uncertain and afraid, unwilling to intervene. All her dreams contorted into hollow scraps under the gaze of a corrupt businessman who eyed her as little more than a commodity. Then, amidst the throng, a lone figure emerged. Joe. A retired veteran with a heart that had weathered too many storms, he felt the weight of injustice crawling beneath his skin. With each step forward, he closed the distance to Clara, determination emanating from him like warmth from the sun. Their eyes met, and in that moment, a connection sparked, a bond solidified in shared despair. Enough. Joe's voice rang out like a cymbal crash, slicing through the tension. She's a human being, not a labor trophy. No one deserves this fate. The murmurs grew louder, and collective shame swirled around them. Clara's heart raced. A lifeline had been thrown, and she clung desperately to it as her body jolted with adrenaline. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Clara stepped away from the auction block, she felt a stirring, a shift in the air. Whispers transformed into conversations, eyes opening to the raw reality long ignored. She caught glimpses of the townsfolk grappling with their collective conscience, their apathy shattered. Hope flickered again, timid yet stubborn. Suddenly, Clara's estranged father appeared, overshadowed by regret and pride, his once respected name now a shadow on crumbling foundations. Clara's breath caught in her throat, years of resentment charged the atmosphere. Could this man, who had let his family down so terribly, make it back to her heart? In that instant, Joe stood by her side, unwavering. The courage to confront the failures of the past resonated in the air, forcing the community into a crucible of change. Clara's tears blurred her vision as her father met her gaze, the pain mingling with the flicker of potential healing. Would Clara choose to forgive, or would she seize this moment to forge a new, independent path for herself and Lily? Hope swelled in her heart, yet uncertainty lingered, an impossible choice looming over her like storm clouds veiling the sun. As hope and fear intertwined, she looked upon the dust-strewn square of Oak Hollow, knowing that destiny awaited her decision. Clara's heart thundered as her father's weary eyes bore into hers, a mix of remorse and longing cradled in their depths. The square fell silent, as if even the world around them held its breath. She felt Joe's reassuring presence beside her, a silent promise that she wouldn't have to navigate this moment alone. Clara, he whispered, his voice trembling. I never meant for any of this. I thought I was protecting you by staying away. The words slipped from his lips like a confession long overdue. Clara's chest tightened, heavy with unresolved emotions. Protecting me? It came out sharper than she intended. You left when I needed you the most. Anger and pain collided, soaring free, a tempest she had bottled for years. Joe remained quiet, respecting the storm unfolding. Clara's father flinched but held her gaze, the years of estrangement etched on his face. I know I can't take back the past. I made mistakes, he admitted, anguish threadbare in his tone. But I'm here now. Please, let me help you. For a heartbeat, Clara wanted to believe him. The flicker of something hope, relief, or perhaps even love nudged her heart, but the echo of betrayal wrapped around her. How could she trust him after so many disappointments? Around them, the townsfolk seemed to draw closer, their whispers rising like cicadas. This was not just about Clara anymore. They were watching, and Clara felt the weight of their eyes, some filled with sympathy, others with judgment. Joe took a step forward, flooding the silence with his steadfast voice. This town has a choice to make, too. We can't let this happen to anyone else. Not Clara, not anyone. His declaration hung in the air like a challenge, prompting a ripple of indignant murmurs amongst the crowd. Clara's breath quickened as people began to break the silence. "He's right," shouted a young woman in the front, her own cheeks wet with tears, despair mingling with anger. "We have to stand up. We can't let this happen again." Others nodded, emboldened by her words, their perception shifting before her very eyes. Clara felt a wave of empowerment wash over her. Maybe they could change something. Maybe she could take a step forward together with Lily and the support of people who understood her plight. The past couldn't be rewritten, but the future? That remained unwritten. "Dad," she finally said, the anger in her voice softening, "if you really want to help, prove it. Help me find a way to stand on my own. Help me protect Lily." His eyes widened, a spark of hope igniting again. "I will, Clara. I promise. Just tell me how." In that moment, Clara realized that forgiveness might not mean forgetting. It could simply be a new beginning amidst the tattered memories. She looked into her father's eyes and saw for the first time not just the man who had hurt her, but the man who might help her heal. As Clara turned to face the crowd, a wave of determination rolled through her. "I will not be sold again," she declared, her voice stronger than it had been moments before. The crowd erupted in support, a tide of unity and renewed purpose pushing against the tide of despair, but as she felt the swell of courage rising within her, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that deeper challenges were on the horizon. This moment was just the beginning. With her heart racing and the crowd rallying behind her, Clara realized that her fight was far from over. The question loomed, would they all be ready when the real battle began? As the echoes of Clara's declaration hung in the air, the silence that followed felt heavy, saturated with expectation. Clara searched the crowd, faces she knew and some she didn't, all reflecting a mix of determination and confusion. The fire in her words had ignited something profound, but the task ahead felt monumental, like staring down a mountain of impossibility. "Clara, what do we do next?" Joe's voice cut through her thoughts, grounding her yet again. She turned to him, his brow furrowed, sharing a silent promise that they were in this together. The fear in her chest simmered, urging her to speak, to lay out a plan she was only beginning to form. She glanced back at her father, the man who had been a ghost in her life, now standing not as a distant figure, but as a tangible possibility of help. "We gather stories," she proposed, feeling more confident with each word. "We need to connect with others who've faced what I have. People aren't just victims, they're survivors. We can change this narrative." Slowly, murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Clara felt the collective strength of everyone there, a community bound by shared hurt and resilience. "I can help with that," a familiar voice chimed in. Clara looked toward Lily, her best friend, stepping forward, eyes gleaming with urgency. "I've met others at the shelter. We can start a support group. Share our stories. Get the word out." "Yes!" Clara exclaimed, a surprising burst of enthusiasm igniting between them. The idea spread through her like warmth from a cozy fire on a cold night. "We need to make this bigger than us. Show the world what is really happening." Joe nodded, his faith in her unwavering. "We could use social media to connect. Create a platform where people can share their experiences freely." The excitement in the air was palpable, and Clara felt fortified, her resolve hardening like steel. The crowd began to hum with energy, voices overlapping as ideas took flight. Clara soaked in the sights, the glimmer of hope sparking in their eyes, the hushed whispers of plans forming. The way forward was becoming clearer, but a shadow lingered at the edge of her mind. What if the powers that be pushed back? Wait. She lifted her hands to quiet the growing noise. The weight of what she was proposing pressed down on her. This isn't just about speaking out. It's going to take courage. We might face backlash. Some might not want to listen. We need to prepare ourselves for that. The crowd quieted, absorbing her caution. A few nodded, but uncertainty lingered in the air like a gathering storm. The energy was electric, but doubt threatened to dampen it. Clara. A young man from the back stepped forward. I've seen what happens when people speak up. It isn't easy. But it's necessary. Let us be each other's support. Together, we can't be silenced. His words acted like a bomb, wrapping around the uncertainty and easing the tension. Clara could see it in their growing smiles, a collective understanding forming. They were not alone in this fight. Her father stepped closer again, vulnerability etched on his face. What can I do? The question hung in the air, trembling with weight. I want to help. Whatever it takes. As Clara stared at him, a part of her wanted to cling to the past and keep her distance. But another part, a growing and braver part, felt that foundations were shifting. Could she really let him back in? Would he truly follow through on his promise? I don't know yet, she replied, her voice steady. But we'll figure it out together. The moment stretched, and Clara could feel the tension breaking like a wave crashing against the shore. If they moved forward together, side by side, they would create new strength not just for her, but for every person silenced by fear. As the crowd erupted into fervent conversation, Clara's heart raced with possibility. Yet, still, beneath the surface, threads of doubt weaved through her mind, whispering reminders of pain. Overwhelmed yet electrified, she knew they were on the edge of something formidable. And just as that thought took root in her mind, a distant siren pierced the air, a sharp reminder that they were not alone in this struggle. What would unfold next? Would this new journey confront them with even harsher realities? Clara could only hope, as the tension shifted, that they were ready for whatever came next. The crowd was buzzing, ideas flying like fireflies in the dim evening light. Clara felt the energy pulsing around her, a mix of fear and bravery, excitement and uncertainty. They were all in this together, ready to fight against memories that clung to them like cobwebs. Suddenly, a familiar face broke through the swell of voices. Lily again, her eyes bright with determination. Clara, if we're going to do this, we need something more concrete. A name, a mission, something that people can rally behind. Right, Clara breathed, grateful for her friend's clarity. We need a statement of what we stand for. Joe chimed in, why not something simple? Like Voices United or the Survivor Network? It needs to feel strong. Clara's heart raced. They were drafting a banner under which a community could gather, a lifeline in a world that often felt cruel. I love that. Clara said, her spirit lifting. It shows we're serious and supported. The crowd nodded, murmurs of approval cascading through them. Clara could see the stakes. This wasn't just about sharing stories. This was about resilience, about lifting each other up, and she could almost feel the weight of their struggles merging into a single force. As Clara glanced at her father, still lingering at the edge, doubt flickered in her chest again. He seemed lost, yet eager, like a stray dog seeking a familiar home. Dad, do you have any thoughts about what we could include in our mission? He hesitated, the air thickening with tension. Just that. I've seen what silence can do. We must be brave enough to tell our truths. It won't be easy. But if we share what we've endured, maybe we can ease the pain for others. A ripple of emotion surged through Clara. Would this be the bridge that connected them? The path to healing? Clara didn't know. But looking around at the faces in the crowd, she felt a fierce resolve reigniting within her. Together, not just as individuals but as a community, we can wield our stories like armor, she declared, feeling the words rising organically. Lily grabbed her hand, squeezing it tight. You're right. We have to open up spaces for everyone. We want to hear from those at the shelters, mothers, fathers, every survivor. Everyone deserves a voice. Yes. Clara cried out, pulling the group in closer. We'll start locally. We'll form circles where anyone can come and share. We'll use social media to spread our resources. But we need to stay united, no matter what comes. The atmosphere shifted, a palpable sense of hope swirling through the crowd like the scent of freshly baked bread. But a dark thought flashed through Clara's mind. What if they encountered resistance right from the start? What if they were silenced before they could even begin? Clara. The voice of that young man cut through her spiraling thoughts again. What happens if someone tries to tear us down? We might face anger, backlash from those who don't want to hear our truths. His words were like thunder, awakening apprehension in many. Clara knew he was right. This wouldn't be easy. But looking at her allies, courage ignited within her. Then we stand firm in our unity. She stated, her voice ringing clear. Every challenge we meet will only strengthen our resolve. We'll be not just survivors but warriors. Who's with me? The crowd erupted in cheers, renewed energy sparking among them, lifting Clara higher. Yet, as the cheers echoed, she caught a reflection of uncertainty in her father's eyes. Was he truly ready to fight along with them? Just then, the distant wail of sirens grew louder, sounding more urgent, drawing near. Clara's heart jumped. What did this mean? Were they already being watched? As the crowd began to quiet again, Clara felt the entire weight of their mission pressing heavily on her shoulders. Her stomach twisted with the unknown ahead. Could they really stand up to whatever was about to come? Clara had ignited something powerful, but would they be strong enough to see it through? She glanced at her father one last time, unsure of what he might say next. The moment felt fragile, like the flicker of a candle in a raging wind. And as the sirens closed in, Clara's mind raced with one burning question: were they ready for the fight of their lives? The sirens wailed as they approached, each pulse a stark reminder of the reality outside their gathering. Clara gripped Lily's hand tightly, her heart racing like a drum in her chest. She could see fear etched on the faces around her, fear mixed with the flickering embers of hope they had just ignited. The sound drew closer, it felt ominous, like a storm threatening to break. Should we go? Lily whispered, her voice trembling with uncertainty. What if they're here for us? Clara's mind spun. What if the authorities sought to silence them? But she couldn't let that fear paralyze her. She looked at each face in the crowd. Some were steely with determination, others faltered with doubt. This was a defining moment, she could see it written in their eyes. No. Clara shouted, the word bursting forth with all the conviction she could muster. We're not going anywhere. This is our space, our time. We deserve to be heard. A surge of whispered agreement swept through the group, the bravery blossoming again. They were in this together, standing on the precipice of change. The mingling emotions created an electric atmosphere, a feeling of shared purpose that encased them like a warm quilt. Her father stepped forward, the uncertainty in his eyes replaced with a flicker of resolve. I was scared too, he said, voice steadying against the tension. But if you believe in this, I'm with you, Clara. Together. That's it. She replied, feeling warmth flood her heart. They were getting closer, building something beautiful from the ruins of their pasts. Let us not let fear win. Let us be the voices that spark change. Before their words could settle, a police car skidded to a halt nearby. The harsh red and blue lights sliced through the dusk, casting flickering shadows across the crowd. Instinctively, Clara stepped in front of Lily, shielding her from the bright disarray. The officers emerged, their expressions serious, yet less aggressive than Clara had imagined. What is going on here? One called out, an authoritative edge to his voice. But Clara sensed something different. There was curiosity beneath their stern exteriors. Clara took a deep breath, feeling the eyes of the crowd on her. Every heartbeat echoed the same message: speak your truth. We are forming a community of survivors, she announced, her voice trembling slightly but strong. We're here to share our stories and support one another. The officer hesitated, exchanging glances with his partner. You can't just gather like this without permits, he replied, the gravity of their situation hanging in the air. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd, but Clara held her ground. We don't need a permit to stand together. We need to be heard. This is about survival. It's about healing. As the officer considered her words, Clara's heart raced. This was the moment that could tip the balance. Would they listen? Would they understand? Lily squeezed her hand tighter. Don't back down, Clara. This is our fight, she whispered, offering her unwavering support. The officers exchanged glances again, uncertainty visible in their eyes. Clara felt the tension build, the world around them humming with potential. Perhaps the confrontation could lead to understanding. Okay, one officer finally said, cautiously stepping forward. Go on, share your stories. But keep it peaceful. We'll stay and listen. Relief washed over Clara, but just as quickly, another thought struck her. If they could listen, could they also help? Could they become advocates instead of adversaries? As the crowd stirred with tentative excitement, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. They might have allies in unexpected places, but what if the resistance came from within their own community? Clara's gaze wandered to her father, and for a moment, their eyes locked. He looked proud, but it wasn't just pride, there was hope. They were treading new ground, stepping into a future full of promise but also uncertainty. Then, just as Clara prepared to speak again, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Glancing down, her heart plummeted. A message flashed on the screen: you don't know what you're starting. It won't end well for you. Stop this now. She swallowed hard, the weight of the threat settling heavily on her shoulders. They had only just begun, and already the challenge was growing. Was Clara truly prepared for the storm that lay ahead? The fight was just starting, but at what cost? The sirens had come to pronounce both promises and peril. What awaited them all next? Clara's heart raced as she read the chilling message. The words reverberated in her mind, each syllable a reminder of the risks they had just opened themselves to. She could feel the anxious energy buzzing around her. The crowd stirred, a collective anxiety rising, punctuated by anxious whispers and nervous glances toward the officers. Are you okay? Lily asked, her eyes wide with concern. I think so, Clara stammered, trying to mask the weight of the warning. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to focus on the moment at hand. This was not just about her anymore, it was about all of them. Let us share our stories, Clara said, her voice stronger now, shaking off the ache of fear clawing at her throat. She turned to the crowd, taking in the faces that mirrored her own determination and fear. We need to show them who we are. We need to speak our truths. As if ignited by her words, a woman emerged from the crowd. I'll go first. She called out, stepping forward. Clara recognized her, a mother who had lost her job, struggling to keep her family afloat. With a quavering breath, the woman began to share her tale of desperation and hope. As she spoke, Clara saw the power of storytelling weave through the group. Each person took turns, sharing struggles of loss, of survival, of dreams deferred. Clara felt the weight of shame begin to lift, replaced by a sense of solidarity. They were bonded in their pain, but also in their resilience. The officers listened intently, their expressions shifting gradually from skepticism to contemplation. Clara felt the crowd lean in, a sea of faces reflecting back the courage it takes to be vulnerable. The tension in the air softened, and with every shared story, hope blossomed. As the last story ended, a young man stepped forward, a fire in his eyes. What we need is more than just to be heard. We need action. We need change. His voice echoed over the blue and red lights still casting shadows. For a moment, Clara thought she might burst. She realized the fear she had been holding onto felt far away now. He's right. She exclaimed, taking a step toward the gathered group, determination etched on her features. We deserve better. Let us take what we've shared today and turn it into something serious. A buzz of agreement swept through the crowd. Clara's father clapped his hands together, a booming sound that refocused everyone's attention. We have the power to push for change. Just then, a voice rang out from the back of the crowd, shaking the air with a different energy. But how? What will we do? A young woman raised her hand, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. Clara's heart sank. She quickly realized this wasn't just an automatic step toward victory. It was a little seed planted in rocky soil. They needed a plan. Let us form committees. Clara said, excitement bubbling in her voice. We can gather resources, support systems. We can challenge local leaders. We have to keep this momentum going. The crowd erupted again, murmurs of agreement like vibrations of a drumbeat. Clara's chest swelled with pride and anticipation. Maybe they could actually create meaningful change, step by step, yet, just as Clara was about to outline the first steps, a commotion broke out behind the police officers. She squinted through the flashing lights and saw a group of stern-faced men in suits advancing towards them, their presence looming as they whispered urgently to each other. From the way they moved, she sensed an air of authority that sent shivers down her spine. What's happening now? Clara whispered to Lily, anxiety creeping back in. The men seemed to merge with the police, their discussion heated. Clara could see one of them pointing toward her and the crowd, their intent clear. They're not just going to let this happen, Lily murmured, her hand tightening around Clara's. An icy grip of fear returned. Were they going to put a stop to this? Clara had just found her voice, and the thought of losing it felt unbearable. What will happen next? Clara wondered, dread festering in her gut. What if their hope was about to be crushed? As the men closed in on the group, Clara felt a surge of adrenaline. They fought too hard to be silenced now. Every heartbeat echoed with determination. But would they stand together when faced with the looming threat? Their unity was about to be tested, and Clara had to find out just how far she was willing to go to protect the change they had ignited. Clara's breath caught in her throat as the group of suited men advanced. Their strides were measured, determined. Clara's stomach churned. Did they want to intimidate them? To talk them down? Everyone stay calm, she managed to say, her voice barely rising above the flutter of anxiety crackling in the air. We're not here for a fight. We just want to be heard. The suited men exchanged quick glances, and then one stepped forward. He was tall, with a sharp jawline and eyes that seemed to pierce through her, calculating. Clara's heart raced. This was no ordinary meeting. This was the kind of confrontation that could change everything. Listen, he began, his voice deep and commanding. It's admirable what you're all trying to do here. But you must understand, there are protocols, rules in place. You can't just gather like this, and why not? Clara interrupted, surprising even herself with her boldness. Why can't we speak about the challenges we face? It's our lives. Because it threatens the order, he replied, a hint of frustration creeping into his tone. You don't know what you're messing with. That statement stung. Clara could feel the weight of every story they had shared, every truth they had dared to voice, radiating from her. No, you don't understand. Her voice shook but remained steady. We're tired of silence. We're tired of being told we're not worth listening to. We deserve to be a part of the conversation. The crowd around her began to murmur in agreement, determination coursing through them like electricity. Lily squeezed Clara's hand tighter, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and awe. The man shifted uncomfortably, glancing back at his companions. Clara could see the gears turning in his mind. She pressed on, trying to seize the fragile moment. Change doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who fight for it. Fighting could lead to consequences you aren't prepared for, he warned, his tone softer, almost pleading. She could sense the tension crackle between them, the push and pull of authority against the voices of the unheard. "Well, we're already living with consequences," shouted a voice from the back, echoing Clara's thoughts. "Every day, we face struggle after struggle. What's worse than that?" The crowd erupted into a chorus of agreement, anger and passion fueling their unity. Clara felt the strength in those words, the raw power in their group. It felt unstoppable, like a wave rising to crash against the shore point. One of the other suited men stepped forward, nodding to the first. "What do you want, then? Just tell us what you hope to achieve here." Clara felt a flicker of hope ignite. This was the opening they needed. "We want to demand resources, support, and opportunity for real change. We want to meet with the city leaders and express our needs." The man nodded slowly, seemingly considering her request. "If we set up a meeting, will you all promise to keep the peace?" Clara hesitated, her heart pounding. Was it a trick? But she looked around at the determined faces in the crowd. This was the chance they had fought for. "Yes," she said firmly. "We will." He offered a curt nod and motioned for the other men to move back. The tension in the air began to dissipate, but Clara couldn't shake the feeling that the fight was far from over. They had gained a foothold, but at what cost? As the crowd began to disperse, Clara turned to Lily, who was grinning with pride. "We did it. We're actually being taken seriously." But Clara's mind was racing. What if they don't take us seriously? What if this was just a ploy to silence us? For a brief moment, she thought about the depths of their challenges, about how twisted the system could be. They had made a step, but a single step wouldn't change everything. And just as the group started to gather their things, Clara received another message on her phone. The name of the sender sent chills down her spine. A stranger had warned them before, and now, they might be returning. What did this new message mean for their fight? As Clara opened it, her heart sank again. This might be the beginning of another battle altogether. Would they have the strength to face what was to come? Clara stared at her phone, fingers trembling over the screen. The message was simple but chilling: "You have no idea what you're getting into. They won't let you win." Her heart raced as the weight of those words hung heavy in the air. "Clara, what's wrong?" Lily's voice broke through her panic, concern etching lines across her forehead. She turned to her friend, forcing a smile that didn't quite meet her eyes. "It's just we need to prepare. There's more ahead than we thought." As they made their way through the dispersing crowd, Clara's mind was a storm of thoughts. Each person they passed, each weary face, told a story of struggle and desire for change. They were counting on her on this moment, and the pressure felt like a vice around her chest. Lily linked arms with Clara, grounding her. "You can't let them intimidate us. We're fighting for our lives, remember? This is our chance." Clara nodded, but doubt gnawed at her. What if the meeting is just a way to calm us down? They could brush us off, pretend to listen, just to shut us up. Lily stopped, a fire igniting in her eyes. "Then we fight harder. We can't let fear guide us. We have to keep pushing. Together." Clara glanced back at the suited men as they huddled, whispering among themselves. The thought of what they might do next sent a chill down her spine. Were they really willing to engage? Or was this a dangerous game? "Okay," Clara said, her voice steadying. "But we need a plan. We all deserve to be seen and heard, not just here but at that meeting too. We need to prepare ourselves for any tricks they might pull." The next day, they gathered in a dimly lit community center. Clara stood in front of her neighbors, the familiar faces reflecting a shared urgency. Her stomach fluttered with nerves. "We have to present ourselves as serious, united. That way, they can't dismiss us easily. The group nodded, some murmuring with agreement. Clara paced, determination rising with each step. We need to write down our stories. We need to share what we're facing, what we need. It's time they saw us as real people, faces with names people they can't ignore. Lily shouted, let us make it a collective effort. A true showcase of who we are. They broke into small groups, fueled by a sense of purpose. Clara felt the energy shift in the room, their voices grew louder, confidence blooming. It was as if they were building a shield, a united front against the powers that be. Hours passed in a blur of laughter and passionate conversation. Each shared story pulled them closer, weaving a fabric of resilience over their fears. Clara realized they were crafting not just words but a lifeline, their lifeline. As they packed up to leave, Clara's phone buzzed again. This time, it was a notification about the meeting date being confirmed. The rush of adrenaline coursed through her veins. It's real, she breathed, feeling the weight of hope settle alongside the anxiety, but before she could fully embrace it, her phone vibrated once more. Another message. Be careful, Clara. They will come for you. Who is it? Lily peered at her, worry etching lines on her face. I don't know, Clara replied, sinking into a nearby chair, the energy from earlier deflating instantly. But it feels like a warning, as if they already know we're onto something. The room fell silent, uncertainty creeping in. The stakes were rising, and the shadows of doubt loomed larger. As Clara looked around at her friends, she wondered if they had the strength to face whatever was waiting for them. The fight was just beginning, and with every step forward, the shadow of threat loomed closer. What awaited them at that meeting? Would their hard work and unity be enough to stand against the impending storm? The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting an orange glow through the community center's windows. Clara sat with her head in her hands, the weight of the messages heavy on her heart. The atmosphere was vibrant just moments ago, but now a shadow loomed larger than ever. Lily broke the silence, her voice softer now. Clara, we've come too far to back down. Whatever they're planning, we need to be ready. Clara lifted her head, meeting Lily's unwavering gaze. It was comforting, but terror still churned in her stomach. But what if this gets out of hand? What if they target us more? We cannot let fear take over, Lily insisted. No matter what we face, we have each other. We'll figure this out as a team. With a deep breath, Clara nodded, finding a flicker of strength within her friend's words. You're right. We've built something here. Our voices matter. Let us make sure they see that. The group agreed to meet again the next day, committing to refine their stories, their strategies, to present a united front. Clara felt the energy shift again, courage pulsing within them as they shared laughter and light moments amidst their fears. Until the next day's meeting, the cautionary message hovered in her mind, refusing to let her forget the darkness that lurked amid the growing strength. That night, Clara tossed and turned, rest eluding her. Each creak of the house made her heart race. Every buzz of her phone sent a jolt through her. Eventually, she sat up, the anxiety taking a more defined shape. Who was behind the messages? What did they want from her? And why did it feel so personal? Morning broke, waking her from a restless sleep. She dressed quickly, her thoughts racing with plans and the potential minefields they would navigate at the meeting. She joined Lily and a few others for breakfast, where their conversations were hopeful. Yet, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that the calm before the storm was thicker than ever. As they arrived at the community center, Clara noticed the hushed conversations among familiar faces. Unease glimmered in eyes that had once sparkled with confidence. When she walked in, she spotted the suited men from before. They were there already, stationed at the front, ominous and poised. Her heart hammered in response. Remember our purpose, Lily whispered, squeezing her arm in reassurance. They need to see we won't back down. Clara drew in a steadying breath, her nerves ignited by determination. The crowd grew, eyes on her as she stepped forward, ready to speak, to be humanizing flames in front of the cold gaze of authority. But as she began, a loud crash erupted from the back of the room. Startled, Clara turned to see someone had knocked over a chair. Tension braided through the air. Who had done it? It was then Clara noticed a stranger emerging from the shadows, face obscured by a hoodie, yet eyes alive with intention. "Stop!" The figure called out, voice fierce and unyielding. "You have to listen. They're lying to you all." Gasps echoed through the room, fear mixing with curiosity. Clara's heart raced, the pulse of the moment surging in her chest. What was happening? Did this person know something she didn't? Was this their answer, or a deeper threat? With all eyes now fixed on the stranger, Clara felt a surge of urgency. Would this moment unite them or fracture everything they built? In that instant, everything changed. Clara realized she was standing on the edge of something monumental. The stakes had never been higher, and she had no idea what was about to unfold. "Who are you?" Clara demanded, stepping forward. "What do you know about the meeting?" The stranger hesitated, gauging their reaction, but the conviction in Clara's voice seemed to push them forward. As the tension crackled in the air like static before a storm, Clara could feel the weight of the moment. What would they reveal? What hidden truths would shatter their perception of everything? Would they still stand together when faced with the reality of their fight? Clara's heart pounded as she locked eyes with the stranger. Here was someone unmasked by fear, standing tall in their convictions. "You need to listen." The figure pressed on, stepping into the flickering lights. "They're not just here to hear your stories, they want to control the narrative. They've silenced voices like ours for too long." The room murmured with uncertainty, people shifting and exchanging fearful glances. Clara felt a wave of energy ripple through the crowd. Some faces reflected doubt while others sparked with fierce curiosity. "Who are you?" Clara repeated, feeling the gravity of the moment anchor her. "What do you know about them?" The stranger lowered their hood, revealing a scruffy countenance, fatigue etched in shadows under their eyes. "My name is Alex. I've seen this play out before. I lived through it. They use people like us to gain power, then leave us to fend for ourselves in the aftermath. You have to be wary they'll try to divide you, to stifle your voices. But you can't let them." Clara's breath quickened as she absorbed Alex's words. "But how do we fight back?" Alex glanced at the suited men, who now regarded them with wariness. "You stick together. Don't let their authority intimidate you. This isn't just about a meeting, it's a movement. You must be ready to hold your ground, no matter what they throw at you." The realization dawned on Clara like the sun breaking through storm clouds. This was the draw from fear they needed. "We won't be silenced anymore," she proclaimed, loud and clear. The crowd stirred, enthusiasm flaring like sparks from flint. But just as Clara felt the fire ignite, the suited men exchanged furtive glances. One of them stepped forward, his pose stiff. "If you think shouting will change anything, you're sorely mistaken," he warned, voice dripping with condescension. Clara felt a swell of anger bubble inside her. "You can't scare us," she shot back. "These are our lives at stake. You see us as numbers, but we are people, mothers, fathers, children, every one of us. You can try to intimidate us, but we have a right to speak." With every word, Clara felt herself harnessing clarity and strength. The crowd echoed her conviction, voices intertwining like a symphony reclaiming their song. "Oh, how quaint," the suit replied, a smirk creeping across his lips. "A quaint notion. But what you need to understand is power doesn't bend to just anybody's will. It crushes. What do you know about power?" Clara shot back, feeling the crowd rally behind her. "You're the ones who hide behind desks while we live the reality every single day. This is our battle." The air thickened with tension, palpable and raw. Alex stepped closer, their voice low but firm. Stand with each other. Demand their attention. Don't let fear win. The crowd nodded, resolve growing stronger. Clara felt her chest swell with pride, they were ready to confront the storm. Let us show them, she suggested, her voice unwavering. Let us unite, present our stories, our demands, and refuse to back down. Together, they can't ignore us. With that, Clara led the charge. Stories flowed like a river, stories of broken homes, lost dreams, and the tenacity to rise. Each narrative was a testament to their resilience, weaving in threads of pain and strength. As Clara finished her own story, the crowd erupted into applause, a wave of sound that filled the space, breaking through the walls of intimidation. The suited men's faces dropped, this wasn't the scripted performance they had anticipated. Remember this moment. Clara urged, eyes blazing. We are the voices that cannot be silenced. We are the ones who will push for change. Together. They shouted in unison, a crescendo that reverberated through the gathering. Clara felt a rush of adrenaline that coursed through her body, the fight wasn't over, but it was only just beginning. As they left the community center, Clara realized this wasn't just a fight for the present but a legacy for the future. If they could stand united, they could illuminate the path for countless others. But in her heart, a new message buzzed. Beneath the thrill of victory. More messages were coming, shadows lurking on the horizon, but she felt fortified they were ready to face whatever might come next. They had each other, and their movement would not be snuffed out. Together, Clara whispered, and it echoed back in her mind as they walked into the unknown, ready to reclaim their lives, ready to let their voices be heard. This is just the beginning. The battle for dignity, for hope, and for unity had ignited, and though the storm rumbled in the distance, Clara felt ready to face anything. It was a new dawn. You need to subscribe now to witness more inspiring stories like this. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. Your voice matters.